Anyway, now we turn to Andrew Cantor, and I'm very delighted that Andrew could come. He's not in the program, so I have to say. He is the president-elect of Physicians for Social Responsibility, and he is also on the board of the International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War, and he works with Jeffrey Sachs at the Earth Institute. And we're very happy to have an honor to have you with us, Andrew. Andrew Cantor, your turn.
Thank you. So I have to start by apologizing to Jody for having a jacket on, but I do have a teddy bear tie, which hopefully that counteracts anything. I'm really very grateful to be offered this opportunity to really participate. I've been out there in the audience with you for the last couple of days, and it's really an honor to be with my teachers and mentors, Professor Sachs and Professor Thurman, and His Holiness is one of my root teachers, and at least even though he's not here, he's actually right next to me, which I think is actually very nice. This has been an amazing 3 days, hasn't it? I mean, how many of you are just as re-energized and all as so excited to get out there and actually do something as I am after this? I mean, it's a truly wonderful opportunity. And, you know, I actually got involved with Physicians for Social Responsibility and IPPNW in the early 80s because I was really scared to death that, you know, we were going to eliminate all life on this planet. It was, you know, I'd wake up one morning and, you know, mushroom clouds would be there and it would all be gone. And I was so worried about that I felt like I needed to make a difference. And it didn't matter whether I was, you know, helping for schools or I was trying to eradicate disease or malaria because it could all disappear. And Albert Einstein had a saying or a quote that with the splitting of the atom, everything changed, save our modes of thinking, and we thus drift toward unparalleled catastrophe. And I think this conference has really been about what that change of thinking really is. And I don't you know, want to repeat really everything that's been said. It's been really quite powerfully said. I know that it's still, we're in grave danger still. As John Granoff, who sat here this morning, said that we still have tens of thousands of these nuclear weapons, thousands of them on hair trigger alert. We know now that even a few hundred of them, if they should be used, for example, between India and Pakistan, that it would so drastically disrupt the climate globally for several years that agricultural production would fall, perhaps a billion people would die. So it's clearly still a big problem. Now, physicians themselves have a special responsibility. We take an oath to heal the sick, to protect health, and to alleviate suffering. And so I feel a particular responsibility. But I also think that we all can be physicians for social responsibility. All you have to do is care about the future of this planet and the health of this planet. We had Earl, the street doctor. You could be street doctors. You could be family doctors. You could be community doctors. And you can be doctors to the whole world. I think that there's three things that I took away from this conference, and again, I apologize to people who have said these better than I can, but in thinking about how we can work together, the first was respect. How important it was to respect ourselves and to respect the others, the people we live with. We are all products of 13 billion years of universe history on this planet. We are alike in so many ways, and you said it very well. I think the second thing that really I took home from this was interdependence and interconnectedness. You know, we live on such a small planet that we're so connected. It's not just that the radiation fallout comes from Fukushima, from Japan, and lands on us, or the asthma in the United States is caused by the dust that's blowing over from Africa, but it's the internet. It's the ability to fall asleep on one airplane and wake up the next morning like I do in Tanzania. It's the birds that fly every year from the top of the world down to the Rift Valley and back again. That this world has everything that we care about. It's all interconnected. And the last thing I really take away is a sense of humbleness. And I apologize again also if this is an indigenous saying is not correct, but they say that it's not that the world is inherited to us from our ancestors, but it's that we're borrowing it from our children. And we can no longer take the policies that we have, this consume and throw away everything, because we have, for generation after generation, a responsibility to save this planet for them. We cannot continue to spend $1.5 trillion on the military, on weapons of war, and ways to destroy things, rather than invest that in the future of our education, of our society, and to make this a healthy, sustainable planet. The International Physicians for Prevention of Nuclear War works on many things. The abolition of nuclear weapons is one of the main things. Physicians for Social Responsibility is working for climate change and to eliminate the toxic degradation of the environment and the scourge of handguns and small arms. But they've created a particular campaign called the International Campaign for the Abolition of Nuclear Weapons, I CAN. And it's designed to help bring about a nuclear weapons convention. But it's not just about I can, it's you can. It's whether you're working in the schools, whether you're working for inner peace, whether you're working for building your communities, whether you're working for climate change or to prevent climate change, or whether you're building sustainable development like Jeffrey Sachs and I in Africa. It's I can, it's you can, it's we can. And we can work together to bring about the healthy and sustainable future for all of our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I asked, as we are coming toward the end, I asked Joe Green, who was in our earlier event with us, I asked him to come back in this one as well. And I think it's great that he's now coming toward the end, although we'll definitely hear from Jody as a final conclusion. But before that, Joe Green, who is the pioneer of trying to use social media to empower non-governmental organizations and charities and people trying to do good, trying to make the world better, in this very powerful new way of, electronic way of having, ratifying in a way or working with the interconnectedness of people. So Joe Green is going to bring to this conversation some notion of tactic and movement toward the future. So Joe Green, your turn now.
Thanks. Well, I'm just glad I'm spared going after Jody. Thanks for having me on again. It's been a wonderful weekend. And I hope to maybe provide a couple of sort of practical takeaways would be my goal. I think, and we were talking in the last session, I was talking a little bit about Facebook and something I've been involved with. And I think it's hard to fathom that Facebook is the largest collection of people in history. There's somewhere between 700 and 800 million people actively using Facebook on a weekly basis. Right? This is no audience, no gathering of humanity has ever been larger, ever. And it presents us with amazing opportunities. And I thought I would try to a little bit to dive into the psychology of Facebook. Because as I was saying before, I'm an organizer by training, but I'm a pop psychologist by day. And what we do in trying to design internet products at my company Causes is to design products that are able to utilize human psychology to bring us all together to sort of move forward. And our goal is around this idea of giving, that everyone can give, and that giving is this sort of deeply enriching part of who we are. But we also have a perhaps somewhat Darwinian view of giving, which is to say that, I think that altruism is sort of baked into who we are and how we relate to other people. And so when, in the early days, when Facebook was being designed, and the little secret sauce is that Facebook really moves on one concept, which is social validation, which is the kind of funny way we like to describe Facebook is like all of the good parts of middle school without any of the bad parts. If you actually look at how it's designed, it's about little ways for people to say nice things about each other. So one of my favorite examples of this is this very bizarre thing that is somewhat unique to Facebook, which has actually been happening basically since the site launched about 7 years ago, which is how many of you have had a birthday on Facebook? And it looks like most of you. And what happens on your birthday on Facebook is somewhat bizarre, which is that everybody comes and writes on your Facebook profile and wishes you happy birthday. And all of these people sort of coming out of the woodwork of your past, or who you maybe don't even know, will go there and wish you happy birthday. And there's this sense of almost obligation to do that. And you think about it, it's just very weird. In sort of the real world, you wouldn't go down the hall yelling, "Hey, happy birthday," sort of in this extremely public way. But so why does this happen? It reminds me of, and again, this may be a very sort of American reference, but when you're a kid in school on Valentine's Day, everyone brings each other Valentines. And the really popular kids have the highest pile of Valentines. And I had a smaller pile of Valentines. Although I hear now that they require every kid to give everyone a Valentine. So maybe socialism is winning. But if you think about it, this is what's happening on Facebook, is that everybody's there, and there's a sense, so why do people do this? One is because they sort of feel this obligation. If they don't do it, they look like a bad person. And you'll see people a day later apologizing, saying, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I forgot to wish you a happy birthday." Which is weird also. And also, I think there's, in the back of your head, you're like, well, I want to make sure that people wish me happy birthday on my birthday, so I better do it for everybody else. And this is, I think, actually very analogous to charity and to the way that we relate to giving amongst each other. When I was at Harvard in college, I took a bunch of economics and was rather frustrated by a lot of the sort of relatively conservative economics in the Harvard economics department. Jeff Sachs had left by that point. And one of the thinkers that I came across, who I don't know if any of you have read, was a guy named Thorsten Veblen. And Thorsten Veblen was a bizarre Swedish guy who lived in a cabin in the woods outside Stanford in the early 20th century. And he's the one that he coined the term conspicuous consumption in his book, The Theory of the Leisure Class. And what he noticed was that for the first time, or maybe not for the first time, but he sort of noticed this happening, that there was this class of people who had enough money that they had more money than they needed. And so they were spending it not on things that they needed, like a bottle of water, maybe not a bottle of water, like water or food, but instead on things whose purpose was to demonstrate their status. And in fact, there are certain kinds of goods which have only purpose to you, certain kinds of goods which are completely worthless except for status, maybe jewelry, for example. And then you have things that are in the middle. And essentially, the purpose of conspicuous consumption is to show that you have so much money that you can waste it. And in fact, you might as well be having a big money bonfire in front of all of your friends as to buy a Ferrari, sort of somewhat analogous. And what we're trying to do at Causes is to shift, or one of the ways that I think about it, is trying to shift that behavior towards giving. Which is, if you're going to have money, if you want to demonstrate to all your friends and neighbors that you have more money than you need, which let's just accept for a moment that this is a natural part of human nature, to want to demonstrate to others that you have excess wealth. What better way, better than buying jewelry or than having a money bonfire, is to give it away. And so Facebook provides us with this opportunity to do that. And you certainly see this among the wealthy, where probably every building at great universities like Harvard or like Columbia are named after people. They're named after people that gave a lot of money. And this is not meaning to sound particularly cynical, but people give that money and they get some recognition with their name on it. We think there's actually the possibility for that for everybody. And again, that may sound like a bad thing, like a cynical thing, but I consider myself a pragmatist and to believe that people want to represent themselves to the people they care about. And so what we've tried to do is to help people do that in a way that helps others. And so I wanted to end with a very practical, as I promised, a tactical suggestion. So one of the things that we've done is to take that behavior on Facebook on people's birthdays, that behavior which is about your friends recognizing you and giving you that middle school-esque love, and channeling that for charity. And so we have a feature called Birthday Wish, which the good Dr. Cantor was telling you that he had utilized. So what we've done is, okay, well, we noticed that you have all this attention on your birthday on Facebook, which is an asset. Can we take that asset and use it for charity? And so what you do with a Birthday Wish, and we've had now millions of people raise tens of millions of dollars doing this, they pick their favorite charity for their birthday, and they tell their friends about it. And so when their friends come to their profile to wish them a happy birthday, they're greeted with a message that says, well, thank you so much for wishing me a happy birthday. Perhaps you would like to donate to this charity as well. And so this is something that anybody can do. Everybody's got friends, and they may not have a lot of money. They probably can give you $10 for your favorite charity. And so anyone out here, and we've had lots of small charities use this very successfully, getting everyone in their organization to do this, their board members, et cetera, to fundraise in this way. And we have people raise hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on their birthday. And so this is just one way of taking these behaviors that we observe that people sort of naturally do and channeling them towards giving. And so, I guess I challenge or urge you as you go out there to think of, maybe Birthday Wish you can just go to birthday.causes.com to set one up, or many other ways where you can take advantage of, this resource. And the thing that excites me as an organizer is that one of the things that I loved as an organizer was helping people discover that they actually could make a difference. Working in politics out, and I worked in a lot of very rural parts of the country, and people that retired truck drivers, people who had never left their community, never thought they'd had impact in the world, and to understand that I spent 2 hours knocking on doors and I got 12 votes for the candidate, and that adds up to the 50,000 we need in my county and the 2 million we need in my state and the 57 million we need to win the country. This light clicks on inside of people when they realize, oh, I have this power inside me, and this power inside you is the power to influence the people around you. Everyone has power in their network, and Facebook makes that visible and sort of helps to unlock it. And so what we hope to do is to unlock the power of people's network to have a very positive impact and to empower everyone around them to make a difference and give. Thanks.
It's very encouraging. The interconnectedness, that it should be really work, that interconnectedness should work, and that the people can finally overcome these factions and these corporations, these non-persons that are operating as persons and controlling the people. That's very, very hopeful. Now it is your, excuse me? Yes? Yes, Andrew, yes?
As a user, maybe I could just make another comment too. I think one thing that I found really interesting, because online, we often tend to surround ourselves with people who are like us and who we like to be with. And in a way, it can actually be quite harmful if we do that, where we choose to not interact with others. And I thought that actually was quite interesting that the birthday opportunity gave the people who know about me in sort of the PSR world to hear about the other side of me, which would be the Millennium Village's development side work, and vice versa. That there are all sorts of opportunities to bring about communities as ourselves, because we are natural integrators. And it's not just about the money, and I didn't get that much money, but that's another whole story. He gives a lot of good advice about how you can improve your return. But I think it really brought together two sides of my life that maybe not knew about each other. So
That's
good
great,
work.
Great idea. Everyone should open their own Darth Vader side and then attract those who they might otherwise not communicate with. Okay, never